Hey, it's Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and today we're going to take a look back at some of my favorite purchases for comic books in 2021. So based on the advice of some other comic book personalities out there, I decided to start a list of comic books that I was hunting for at the beginning of 2021. I kind of already had a loose list in my mind, but this time I actually put pen to paper, or more accurately, I typed some shit into a notes file. But anyways, I started hunting for these books and kind of, wanted to solidify, hey, here's what I'd like to focus down on looking for when it comes to more important books to me for my personal collection. Yeah, some stuff definitely got away from me. There were some books at the beginning of 2021 that looked a little bit more attainable than at the end. Like I'd hope to maybe find like a low grade Amazing Spider-Man 300. I'd hope to find like a Captain Britain 8, which is the first appearance of Betsy Braddock. Later become a Psylocke, of course. So here's just kind of a list of some of my favorite pickups from the ones I did get from that list. I'm going to rank them 1 through 10, 1 being my favorite pickup or kind of the coolest score or whatever of the year. And I'm also going to list some honorable mentions. There's plenty of other cool books I bought in 2021. You guys have been able to check those out throughout my bronze buys as the year goes on, but this is kind of a look back at some of my favorite books. And don't worry, I will be releasing my 2022 list in a video coming up at the very beginning of the year, showing you what I'm hunting for in 2022. Sit back and enjoy some comic books. All right, so before we get to the full list, let's do some honorable mentions. I picked up a copy of G.I. Joe 25. This is one of those weird G.I. Joe keys. It's the first full appearance of Zartan that just never really ended up in my collection. I didn't have it even when I had most of the full run of the G.I. Joe books back in the day before I sold most of my collection, unfortunately. So picking up that one felt really nice. The eBay seller sent it like loose in a box, basically, and it still arrived in pretty decent shape, which is really fortunate. So that's another part of the reason that it was a cool pickup, because it actually didn't arrive destroyed. So that was awesome. So next up in the honorable mentions, this is a book that I didn't even know about before the year started. This is the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, Liberty Comics #1. It's a cover by for me. It was a J. Scott Campbell, Abby Chase cover that I thought was just really cool, especially with the meaning behind it. Had to pick it up, and it's currently getting graded right now. So fantastic comic. I was glad I picked up. Another one is Nova #1, which is something I was looking for as a spec book, and I actually ended up with 2 copies graded of Nova #1. So that's really awesome. And then I'll kind of just lump all my Uncanny X-Men honorable mentions into kind of one little spot here. First up is Uncanny X-Men 130, first appearance of Dazzler. Very awesome copy. I actually got it in really great shape too, so that was fantastic. And then some Dark Phoenix books. I got 135 in a really cool trade with a community member, as well as 136, which is one of my favorite covers of all time. If you're wondering what my favorite cover of all time is, it's actually the next issue, which is 137. I did get a second copy of 137 this year, but I'd already owned that book. Just wanted an extra copy that was in a little bit higher shape, and that one's currently getting graded right now. And finally, X-Men 342, the Rogue Squadron variant, which is a, I'm a booty cover guy. This is a fantastic Rogue cover by Joe Madureira, so I was very happy to get that one. I originally had one in my collection and let it go somehow when I sold my collection, so getting it back felt really nice. Okay, so the number 10 pickup for the year in 2021 for me was Uncanny X-Men 129, first appearance of Kitty Pryde and first appearance of White Queen Emma Frost. Actually, the reason I care about the book is probably more the White Queen first appearance. Most people probably care about the Kitty Pryde appearance. But either way, it's 2 great characters for the X-Men. This comic book, my personal copy that I got now, is an extremely low grade copy, but as the common phrase goes, a low grade's better than no grade. And with this book absolutely going to the moon in 2021, I was glad to just get a copy. Number 9 feels very fitting, and I think maybe this book may have ended up on my list partially because of the George Perez news, and that's Crisis on Infinite Earths #7. Iconic cover. A lot of people actually think this is the original cover of this style. You can go back decades earlier and actually find examples of this type of cover, and you kind of have to draw the line for what you think is the original. There's definitely a lot of comic books that can compete for that title. However, regardless of that, this is an iconic cover on its own. This one, a lot of people, if they see any kind of this style of cover, think it's an homage to this cover because that's how famous it was, and George Perez nailed it. I'm a big Supergirl fan, so this one felt really near and dear to me, and I'm glad to have it in the collection now. Number 8 is Fantastic Four Annual #6. This was a really cool score found in a comic book shop. Felt like I got a fantastic deal on it. Bad pun. And I was absolutely floored to have it. It's currently off being graded right now. Hopefully we'll get that back soon and see what it comes back as. I'm really excited to have this first appearance of Annihilus and first appearance of Franklin Richards. Very Gary Comics very famously speculates on this book and buys a copy whenever he can find it. This is my only copy, but I'm still happy to have one. Next on the list is X-Men 109. This is the first appearance of Guardian from Alpha Flight, and I bought this comic book raw, never even saw it, and it had it submitted by the same person. This is Hulk Nuts over at Turlock Comics. Going to be a lot of content coming soon from some different things we've done. With this particular submission, I got the book back in a 9.0. I felt really happy about that, and I love to have this book. I'm a big Alpha Flight fan and a big X-Men fan, and those two things came together in 109, and I was super stoked to get this issue. I feel like I bought this book at almost exactly the right time, and this is a copy of Marvel Spotlight 32. That's the first appearance of Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. I think this is a wonderful book to own. This is mostly a spec book for me. However, it's kind of grown on me, and I think it might end up in the personal collection. And boy, right after I bought this, it definitely jumped in value. So happy to have that one resting in the collection now. All right, number 5 on the list. This was a birthday present to myself. I was at Rose City Comic Con, had to grab this. Star Wars #1. Big Star Wars fan. There's some Star Wars stuff around. You know, most people are Star Wars fans these days, right? Having to own a copy of Star Wars #1 was on my list. I didn't think it was realistically going to happen because that book did jump a lot in early 2021. Then it kind of came back down to earth just a tiny bit. I foot kind of got taken off the gas a little bit, and I was able to secure a, you know, probably a VF copy at Rose City Comic Con from I Like Comics, which is a fantastic store in Vancouver, Washington, that had a presence there. That's just one of those books that makes me very happy to own a copy of. Okay, at number 4, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I have no idea which one's really my favorite. I love them both about the same. 2 different copies of different variants for Something Is Killing the Children #1. I'm talking about the first print here. I do have the Jay Lee cover, and I actually have that signed by Tenyon in a 9.8. And then I also have the Frizen cover, the unlocked retailer variant. I believe that's what that one's called. And that one is not signed, but it's also in a 9.8. I really like the Frizen cover. Initially, that was my favorite one. The Jay Lee one's really been growing on me because of the color. But I think that the Frizen rendition of Erica Slaughter is a little bit more intriguing to me. Both of them fantastic books to own right now. Most likely I'll end up selling one when the time's right, but I haven't decided which one yet. And so I'm going to cheat and have both at number 4 on my list. Number 3 was a book that I just kind of swooped in at the last minute on an eBay auction, felt really happy to get it. And that book's going to be All-Star Comics number 58. This is the first appearance of Power Girl. One of my all-time favorite characters is actually a Jamie Tyndall Power Girl sketch right there that you can kind of see off in the dark. And it's just a book that I'm very stoked to own. I actually think I could probably get this cleaned and pressed after cracking it and get it in a higher grade, but I'm still happy to have this book. And then I actually picked up her second appearance raw from a dollar bin, so I felt super happy about that too. Now I'm just trying to get some of those other odds and ends Power Girls. I have the entire run that Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti did, including a few of the key variants. Trying to get that Power Girl miniseries #1, that kind of stuff now, Showcase 97. So those are the books I'm looking for, but luckily those are much more affordable books, so I'm happy to be hunting for those ones instead of her first appearance. All right, number 2, another favorite female character. There's actually a lot of those on this list. Spider-Woman, Power Girl, and now we're going to have a new entry with Black Cat, because I got the first appearance of Black Cat in Amazing Spider-Man number 194. I got it in a VF Plus probably, raw comic book, and that's one that I'm going to be sending off for submission here pretty soon. I can't wait to get this one back graded. That one's staying in the PC, as I'm a huge Black Cat fan, and I feel like that's a character that has a lot of potential, so we'll be seeing what happens with her future, and I'm glad I got in on that one in 2021. All right, so what could be number 1 on the list? At number 1, we're going to have a book that I've basically thought I would never get. Got super lucky. DM somebody who put it up for sale. It's actually Hulk Nuts from Turlock Comics, but he put it up on his public page. I just happened to have alerts on for his posts. He put up a copy from a collection he had just acquired of New Mutants 98, which is the first appearance of Deadpool, a character who has all kinds of room to still grow because he hasn't officially shown up in any MCU movies or TV shows yet, although he did appear in kind of a weird little thing with Korg, so you could kind of say he's made his appearance. But Deadpool's gonna be around for a long time. A lot of people want him to make sort of the Stan Lee style cameos. it's going to be a big time character. I had thought this book might be like a near mint minus. That's kind of where I was looking at. You know, this is a raw book that I've never actually had in my possession. I've just seen a bunch of pictures of it raw. And then James, who is Hulknuts' partner, had it cleaned and pressed. And then before they sent it off, they sent me a couple of extra pictures. And they think, you know, I say this with hushed tones, they thought 9.6, 9.8 was possible. Looks like it might be every bit of 9.6. I got one corner on there I'm a little suspicious about, but man, I'm happy to have a comic book. It doesn't have to be 9.8 if it's for the personal collection. In fact, if this comes back at a high enough grade, I could consider selling this and actually downgrading to a lower graded version and using that extra cash to go towards some bigger books for me. So I just got a fantastic deal on this. I'm really thankful to them for helping me out with getting this book cleaned and pressed and off to grading. Fingers crossed it'll come back from CGC sometime soon, but I'm not going to hold my breath. All right, so there you have it, the top 10 comic books that I bought in 2021. Let's see what 2022 will bring. Once again, I will have a video coming out in the beginning of January that'll list the books that I'm hunting for in 2022, kind of that want list. I think this is a good strategy to avoid overspending on comic books and avoid kind of ballooning the scope of what you're looking for. Is focus down on some of these books and really go after them. If you have specific SMART goals set for these books, you can achieve them. It is possible. You know, some books that are on my list are definitely more expensive books, and I kind of, you know, luckily I'm looking for them in lower condition. I'm willing to take the plunge there, which really helps out and makes them still somewhat attainable. There's so many books that if you look at the history of comic book collecting, if you didn't go get a low grade when you could, good luck getting a copy of it today unless you have unlimited bankroll. So let me know what your collecting strategy is in the comments down below. If you want to support the channel, you can head over to my Ko-fi and support me that way. You can also head over to our Discord and engage in some conversation and share some recent pickups you've had, talk about your favorite booty covers, share some news, whatever you like over there on Discord. We hope to see you over there. And until next time, I want to remind you, as always, hey. Read comics every day.